Hey guys, this is Brett for Topo Ranger. As is so often the case, I prepare diligently for filming of an episode, get all my equipment together, do all my research, and then I go there and then I forget something. This time I was over at Shanks Ferry Wildlife Preserve not too long ago, and I had all of my equipment, and I had a lot of really good historical information. I had 4 or 5 pages of notes that I was going to bring with me, but I forgot my notebook. So instead of filming that whole episode and just relying on what's in my brain, now I can remember probably 1 or 2 pages of information, but I didn't want to do an episode and just have it not be as good as it could be, because there's a lot of interesting historical tidbits and information associated with Shanks Ferry, what is now Shanks Ferry Wildlife Preserve. In particular, you have a history of Native American occupation. You got archaeology. There was a 1906. There was a gigantic dynamite explosion, but also just other history there: mining, quarrying, lime kilns, all kinds of cool stuff that you get a lot in this area here. So I had to push that back. I got to push that back. I'm going to get back there at some other point in time. But I'm out. I got a window, like I do most days. I got a 3-4 hour window with which to do things. So on the way over to Shanks Ferry, I cross this thing here, which is the Norman Wood Bridge. As you can see, the water's low. That's what I noticed when I was going across the river. I noticed that the water was low. To be honest, I almost just aborted even before I got to Shanks Ferry to come back to here, so I could walk across these rocks and see if I can get over to the island over there. From here, it looks like I can make it. So I got about a 2-hour window within which to operate today. And in that time, we're going to try to get over there, which I think this is called Piney Island. We have 2 hours to work with, so let's make the most of it, all right? There's lots of this nice moss all over these schist outcroppings here. This stuff is looks really quite tough inside. I'm hoping that I don't get stuck by the water. I've been down here before and looked, and I've seen stuff. I said, oh, I can get there. It looks like I can get there. But then you actually get there and you realize that you're stymied by water. Hopefully this won't be the case today. Most of the time these rocks are pretty easy to get around. So when they release the water from the dam, it comes down right out of there, out of that play park there. I think they release it over there too, but it just comes roaring through here like a flood, going down under the Norman Wood Bridge, and you can tell by the marks on the rocks, where the water, how high the water gets. There's a vulture. Just cruising. Seems to be quite a few vultures around here today, so could be something waiting for me. Could be a carcass waiting for me in a crevice somewhere. So I came across this, which looks to me like an old anchor with a rock attached to it. And this chain looks to me like oh no, it's loose. Oh wow, so this is just an old anchor that washed downstream. And I found what looks like another anchor or a buoy of some kind. A series of 3 very large potholes here. One of the problems you can get stuck into here is that you walk quite a ways jumping over rocks, and then you get to a point where you really can't go any farther, and you're going to turn around, backtrack, so it can be kind of a time killer. Hopefully that doesn't happen to us today. And that's exactly what just happened to me. I can't go any farther here, so now I gotta backtrack. What I was afraid of has happened. There's the York County side. I've been pushed back almost. I'm almost back to the York County side. There was what looks doable from the bridge. Once you get down to ground level, all of a sudden you realize there's all kinds of wet spots, all kinds of spots along the way that you can't. They're too deep. There's water there. I don't want to get my feet wet today, so I think I found a line going down. I'm gonna have to go more towards the bridge, down about another couple hundred feet here. So I'm still trying to get across here. I've been pushed back even further now to the. I'm pretty much back on the York County side. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I might try to go down there a little bit farther. What I did notice is here. Like I said, I'm almost on the York County side. As I was walking over here from the Lancaster side, I noticed there was a band of something embedded in the schist. That's what we're on right now, and it just has a different. It's weathering differently. And so here's the schist, and then you get this. You get this very distinct line here, and then right here it's about a foot thick, where you get this different kind of weathering, and then you go back into the schist. My first thought was, well, maybe it's an intrusive dike where the molten material pushes up through an existing rock bed. But I followed it, and I used a rock to hammer some of it out here, and turns out it's just quartz, what I think would be just crystal-like quartzite, white quartzite vein. And you can see it there, right there. See that? Yeah, so this whole thing is just a massive vein running right along the base of the gorge. The river has defeated me once again. I'm back on the York County side. I'm standing on a little beach here. This is actually a place I was before. You get these big schist cliffs here, and it just breaks down into this nice sand beach. Look at that. I mean, that's nice sand there. This is a nice little place. You could have a little campfire, it looks like people have. There's a small little shelter cave here, and it looks like that's where people have their fires. And as you can tell, judging by the soot on the rocks. I could go down a little bit farther here and definitely get over to the islands, but by the time I got there, I'd have to just turn around and come right back, and I wouldn't have time to actually look for the petroglyphs if that is in fact where they are. So I have about an hour and maybe an hour and 15 minutes left. So instead of kind of doing that, and which I feel would be kind of a bad use of our time, Mill Creek spills out into the river right here. We're going to follow that upstream under the road and up to Mill Creek Falls. I don't have any videos on YouTube documenting Mill Creek Falls. It's a really beautiful waterfall, and it sounds like there's a pretty good flow now, so it's probably a good time to do that. So that's what I'm going to do now. But we're going to come back here, and I don't know how, but we're going to somehow figure out how to get across this river. There's got to be a specific spot where you can get across when the water is this low, because the water is pretty low here. It's just a matter of finding a line to get through there, because, like I said, you get stuck out. You can walk for hundreds of feet, and all of a sudden you're at the end of an outcrop, and there's nowhere to go. So let's go check out Mill Creek Falls. Here we are at Mill Creek. This is the road that accesses Lock 12 area on the York side. Alright, so that was Mill Creek Falls, and it is a series of a whole bunch of waterfalls connected together. Mill Creek runs down in Susquehanna here. We're at Lock 12 historic area in basically southern York County. I have been here before, but I haven't gotten any footage of it since I got this new camera. I came back here a while ago with my phone back over the summer. What I'm doing now is I'm just going to hike a little bit farther up this trail. I've never been up here. I seem to remember someone writing something about there's another waterfall up here after you hike a little bit. So let's go see if we can find that. Getting some pretty big schist cliffs up there on the south side of this trail. The stream's just doing what it does. A little waterfall there. Right here, there's a confluence here between two streams. I'm not sure which one is Mill Creek, but if you look up there, you can see the other one comes down a series of falls right there. And I guess maybe that's Mountain Laurel on the side. You got the cliffs looming on either side. And then the other stream comes up here, and the trail does continue up there. But I'm seeing signs over here that say private property. I'm guessing that side of the creek is private property. But this here, this looks like some interesting falls, so let's go check that out. We definitely got some fall action going right there. That's probably about a 6 or 7 foot waterfall. Comes down here. Here's the confluence. So one thing you may have noticed about this this stream is that unlike most streams whose profile starts off steep and then slowly gets basically like a quarter pipe, you know, like a skateboard quarter pipe. Starts off steep, and then as you get closer and closer to base level, or in this case the river, kind of gradually levels out. Whereas this stream and all the streams that empty into the Susquehanna in the lower Susquehanna area, they all have a profile which starts off normal, comes down, and then just as it starts to really level off for the final merging with the river, all of a sudden it goes down again suddenly, and then you get the until finally it empties right into the river. Now the reason for that is that prior to the at least this is the theory, is that before the ice ages, the streams, the profiles here were normal, you know, gradual. By the time they get down the river, they're, you know, flat. But then as the period of ice ages, the ice ages began about 2.6 million years ago, and I think there's been as many as 50 separate advances and retreats across the world. I think there's been 4 major glacial episodes. The last one ending here in Pennsylvania, I think about 12,000-ish years ago. When you have those warm interglacial periods, the Susquehanna would have been flooding for thousands of years as the glaciers melted. Enormous volumes of glacial outwash raging down, raging down this lower Susquehanna, and that's in fact what carved out the gorge we were in earlier that we were trying to get across to see the petroglyphs. So each time the glaciers melted, you would get thousands of years of this, of the carving and the denudation, the denuding, which is the lowering of the land level from these highly aggressive, because a lot of times, you know, these glacial outwash, it has pebbles, boulders, silt, sand. It has basically material of all different sizes, just scouring, ripping out these potholes. I mean, that's, you know, there's a giant 30-foot pothole here that once I get my kayak, I'm gonna take you to. It's just right over here in the gorge. It's really cool. Rock climbers like to climb up this thing, but the power that you would have needed to create these features was created by the glacial outwash, and it also tweaked the stream profiles so that's why you get that sudden drop at the end of a normal profile. You get the sudden drop in vertical relief, and then you hit the river basically like this. It goes that little extra dip at the end is basically the amount that the glacial outwash cut down into the bedrock of the Susquehanna, the lower Susquehanna, and lowered that point at which, say, for instance, this creek right here, Mill Creek, would have joined the Susquehanna. And here you can really see the drop. Starting there, coming down here, flowing down there, and then as we saw earlier, even more waterfalls down there till you get to the bottom of the where the creek joins the river. So that's gonna wrap it up for today. Started out wanting to go to Shanks Ferry, forgot my notes. That's going to be a future episode. That's going to be a good one because there's a lot of really cool information about that area. So we came here. I was deceived by my own eyes as to whether I could get across. I was also limited by time and the fact that I don't want to get my feet wet. So if I'm going to get across to those petroglyphs, I might just have to bite the bullet and understand that my feet are going to get wet. But that's not that big of a deal. I got about halfway across the river, I'd say. About halfway, yeah. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Topo Ranger. I just kind of put things together on the fly today because I forgot my notes about Shanks Ferry So that's going to be a future episode. Maybe even the next episode. And today we got to see a little bit of the gorge and Mill Creek Falls, the beautiful Mill Creek Falls, of course. Mill Creek Falls is a great place to come in the summer, in the spring, in the summer, in the fall when it's warm. People go swimming there. It's just a great place to hike. There's trails going back up into the hills here. Lower Susquehanna, this area is it's a really nice, beautiful area. If you come here from out of state or from somewhere else in the state, this is definitely an area I would come to. One of the things I like about winter is that with all the trees, with all the leaves gone, you get to you wind up seeing stuff that you normally wouldn't see. For instance, there's a huge schist cliff up there, vertical cliffs. I don't know they're there during the summer. You look up there, all you see is green, which is nice. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe if you like my stuff, and hit the bell so that when I put up a new episode, you will know right away. Next spring and summer, we're going to have all kinds of new adventures here in this part of the state. I have locations picked out in other parts of the state, and I really have places I really would like to I'd really like to go take you guys down in West Virginia. Some really waterfalls, caves, you name it. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. This is Brett for Topo Ranger, signing out.